All right, so we got some hot topics for you all this week, and this first one is going to come from the NBA itself. Chris, we got an official MVP ladder. So I got the top 10 list with me, and I'll read them. And it goes as such. Number one, don't think either one of us are surprised by this one, but Shea. Two, Giannis. Three, Nikola Jokic. Four, Victor Wembanyama. Five, Luca. Six, Josh Giddey. Seven, Tyrese Maxey. Eight, Donovan Mitchell. Nine, Steph Curry. 10, Sengun. Pretty strong list, man. What's your thoughts? Anyone that should be bumped up, bumped out? Any names on this list that just doesn't stick out to you, or do you feel like the NBA has it right at the moment?
I, First of all, I think that it's a strong list. I think all 10 guys who have been recognized as being potential MVP candidates have warranted the recognition, particularly the first five. Those guys are the usual suspects, right? There's no surprise that Shea, Giannis, Jokic, and even Victor, the way that he's played to start the season, and
Mm.
then Luca are all included in the first five. Shea's averaging 33, 5, and 6. Giannis is averaging 33, 12, and 6. Jokic is averaging 25, 12, and 11.
Crazy.
Um, Vic is averaging 23 and 13. Luca's averaging 37, 10, and 9. And so all five of them are contributing in a multitude of areas and are also providing a whole lot of support and a lot of presence on the defensive end, particularly Shea.
Mm.
Um, I think that he has really taken a different kind of step and a different kind of accountability in how he's contributing defensively, especially as an on ball defender and being able to guard his yard and limit penetration and to interrupt guys' rhythm. And that has been a large contributor to why they've been able to sustain a 9-1 record early in the season. And then somebody like Vic, who he is an ecosystem defensively.
Mm.
He doesn't just block shots. His presence alone alters decision making, which I've never seen before.
He is a system of that
Right?
defense. Like it's
Like
unheard of. It's weird. Like
literally.
how we construct offense so much in the league. He has a defensive scheme that you can build around him that no other team can replicate.
Or player.
No.
I don't think there's a player in history that you can say, if I stand you, I don't know, in the middle of the paint, you literally have the physical ability to get anywhere, in the half court defensive setting and, alter a shot or alter a playmaking decision. And so I say all that to say that I think the first five guys
Mm.
have warranted being there, and the consideration is righteous. The only person that I didn't hear mentioned that I think should receive greater consideration is Cade Cunningham.
True. True. I agree.
I
That was
don't
going
have
to
his
be my
stats in front of
only.
me, but
Yeah, he was the only one that I
I mean
thought
Detroit is first in the East right now.
that he's not getting any consideration at the moment. But I think they dropped that list before they kind of closed out a couple more games on that stretch where he. So I think right now he's leading points per game in the fourth quarter at the moment, like 12 or
Off the
13, and
lead.
he's efficient and he's getting to that point. And Jalen Duran and Stu, man, those two down there, they're starting to figure it out. I was concerned about Detroit with losing Malik Beasley, losing Dennis
Yep.
Schroeder, losing Tim, because those are vet pieces that you need to go into the next year. Like, okay, see, we're seeing Caruso and Isaiah with them still rolling in with this same chemistry and continuity. And that's the next step that I think Cade is taking now, where I'm leading this team. We don't have all the other vets that we had last year, but we don't need them because me and these other young guys were stepping up and we're going to figure it out. But I do agree. I think Cade should be in that list. No, don't disagree. But within this list,
Not to
though,
take anything away from the bottom
do
five.
you think anyone in this list you're concerned with dropping? Because right now, I have the one thing I don't like about what I'm seeing slightly from Wimby is he is not being as aggressive as he was to start. Now, I think he's still trying to figure things out. He's trying to find certain spots because they're guarding him differently now. Like I see they're starting to put
Right.
smaller, stronger guards on him. Like I know Houston guarding him.
Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix guarding him very different. Houston are
Yep.
guarding him different. They put like Thompson on him because he's stronger and so they can poke away at the ball, things like that. But I still think he can be aggressive. Like, dude, if you get that ball in the mid post, assess and see what's going on, turn around, take the pull up. He hit the game winner or kind of the ice the game. He hit it like a fadeaway over Amin Thompson to seal the game.
Yeah.
And I think he has to get to those quick buckets because he's trying to drive all the way to the cup. And now they're just collapsing. And yes, he can make the pass, but that's too tough of a pass to make if it's late in the shot clock. But Vic is the only one right now that's in that top 5 that I'm slightly concerned about. But I think he's the one that I do think will figure it out. I think Luka, he may drop once LeBron comes back.
Hmm.
So that's the only reason that I see him dropping out of that top 5. But that's going to be interesting to see how they gel because they've been without LeBron for almost 10 games at this point. So I think it's going to be interesting to see that mix when they get back. In that bottom 5, do you see anyone climbing? Josh Giddey, Tyrese, Don, Steph, or Sengun? You see any of them climbing?
Well, it's tough for the bottom 5 because I think in order for them to have any ascension, it's going to be based off of the level of team
Team.
success
Mm.
that they're having. And so, I mean, even Donovan, who I would naturally pick to be able to ascend in the top 5, I'm concerned with maybe some of the 2 to 4 game stretch inconsistency that Cleveland has had so far this season. Right, I could see us finishing 500 in road games alone.
Mm.
And so I don't know how some of those, records, how that affects you being able to kind of move from position 6 to position 4 in the MVP race. Although Donovan, again, the way that he's been performing,
He's
statistics,
hooping.
analyzing the
He's
statistics or not,
hooping.
yeah, he's hooping, he's getting to it, and he has been the reason we're winning.
On every team he hasn't. I don't know if it's
Like
because his game
every
isn't
possession.
flashy that he's not getting this recognition, but I don't think I don't know, bro. It's so tricky with him. But he has another scorer on his team in Darius. He passes the ball a little bit more than I guess you could say your usual star does. But I don't know what Donovan has to do besides like he just has to average 30 in order to really put his name in that hat.
Like yeah, and again, like you said, I don't know what else that he could be doing. I don't know what else he has to show. I don't know if it's more defensive. I don't know if he needs to
Mm.
pad the stats a little bit, but
Might as
he's
well.
somebody who I could see kind of itching into that top 5 though.
But all right, so let me ask this because I've really tried to figure out how do we get this MVP race understood because we've had years where we feel like people should have won, and then the person who didn't get it. Like I feel like Kobe, there was a couple years he got snubbed. I think there was a year D Wade got snubbed. And we never want to take away from someone winning the MVP and saying they didn't deserve it. I don't think that's the case. But we need some type of rubric or a guideline that says this is how we determine if you are an MVP or not. So, how much do you think team success should actually be included? Because I feel like there's been times where we look at the MVP race and it's more about a statistical thing, like where Joker, I think there was the year that he won. I don't
Yeah.
know if he was number one. Of course, he's won it multiple times, but I don't think every year he was number one in the West. But he was averaging on triple doubles. We know when Russ won, he wasn't number one in the West, but his statistics was where they needed to be, averaging a triple double. So, do you think it should be heavily favored, or do you think it's just a 50-50 balance of your team success in MVP? But again, I still think there's always going to be a fine line to straddle.
You know what, bro? And I think even 50% may be too much. It maybe
Yeah,
needs to be a third of the consideration. Like a third of the consideration is team success, a third of consideration is statistical performance, and then a third of the consideration are, the acute metrics. You know,
like fourth quarter.
plus negative rating.
Yeah, like we're
Yeah,
too far in
fourth quarter
analytics to not have that
scoring.
determined already by now.
Like that should be included in it because ultimately what we're asking is how do we define value?
Yeah, simple as is.
Yeah, what is valuable? Because there was a year where Steph Curry was a unanimous MVP, and I don't think that his stats necessarily matched what we've seen from previous MVPs,
Correct.
but his value
Yes.
in terms of affecting winning was,
Yeah. Second
you
to
know,
none.
undebatable. Yeah. So I think that's ultimately the question that we're asking, and the question that the NBA needs to answer is how do we define valuable year to year, and can we create a statistic? I mean, a consistent standard that we all can look at and say this is what an MVP looks like because they're affecting all three of these
And
areas,
I think
not
that's
just
possible.
statistically, not just in winning.
I think it's possible. I think it has to be a collective conversation that not everyone's at the table, right? Because everyone's going to have their different opinions and things of that
Yep.
nature. But there has to be a rubric that you can at least have a good consensus on what everyone feels is the right thing to do with deciding for MVP. So you take, again, we already got the data. We take data from the past players and what they've done to get MVP. You take what the records look like. You take what they did in the fourth quarter performances. Like if you all want to use Michael Jordan as a metric, as they do for everything, right? What was those metrics that you all used then to just fully decide that hey, Michael Jordan's this
Great
MVP?
point.
We didn't get voter fatigue with MJ. Um,
It's an excellent point.
so I'm very curious to see if we ever get to that point in time in the league that we can have a standard where when the MVP comes out, everyone you can go look at the data and see, okay, hey, I know what they are grading this off of. So I'm not confused about why this person is number one, why this person is number two. We should be at that point now. We got AI. Like,
Yeah, there. I mean, the technology certainly
come
cannot be
on
the
now.
issue.
Cannot, shall not be the
I
issue.
think if anything, I'm going to assume the reason why we haven't reached that point is because journalists are still fighting for their right to be included
The
in
vote.
the vote.
Mhm. And why
You know,
I'm not taking away from journalists and saying that you shouldn't have a right to vote for the MVP. Now, again, you and I both work in the world of business, right? And we've operated in this space where we know everyone's voice matters. But I will always gracefully bow out to people who have been the expert in said
yep.
profession. Now, journalists sometimes I think can have a certain agenda. Players can have a certain agenda with ego that won't always agree with who they decide should be MVP. Because some of them, because you've been in the battle with these players, you don't want to vote for some of these type of guys. You may not like their style of play. So not everyone's going to have the right answer, but we got to have a right balance. And also, I think, and this may be another conversation for another day, I think all the voters should have to show, and I don't know if they show everyone who you pick for with MVP and everything, but there should be a place where you can go see who every voter voted for and their explanation why they voted for this person.
Would be really nice.
Like, why? Like, put it out there. Why not?
That would be really nice. Because to your point, as much reservation as we may have about players having their own personal relationships impede
Yeah,
on their decision making, the same exists for the
the
media.
same.
If you're a member and you're constantly getting brushed off by the MVP for the team that you're a beat writer for, you may not have support for that individual when it comes time for voting
Mhm.
for the MVP race, even if objectively they deserve the right to earn that vote.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And so yeah, I think the same could exist for media members too.
yeah.
We got to find some sort of objective metric to use that everybody can agree to.
Like when you saw Joe
Reference.
Mazzulla didn't care about the. Well, I'm not gonna say he don't care about the media, but he had to bring them down to their word and say, "Cool, you all come to this scrimmage with us," and they kicked their ass as they should.
Yeah, and it was a good experience for the media. I think
Yeah, but to me,
I think it gave them a greater
that
perspective.
should bring them together because right, I don't know your job as media. I can't sit here and tell you what to do. But in order for me to understand the type of questions you all ask, the space that you come from, why you did this, why you did that, why you said this and this, right? I need to understand and step into your profession, which we already do this every single day when we step into this media room. We answer questions, it's the Instagram,
Yep.
all that stuff. So you all need to step in our world and understand what we deal with, how difficult this game is, the same way I understand how difficult it is to be a journalist because you all have been at this for years and years and years,
Yep.
as these players have trying to grow up and play AAU in high school and college to get to the league. So there just has to be a form of respect there. And I think that's how we get to that good balance of MVP voting because I also don't think there's that level of respect between the voters. If there's
I think
there
that also
there's a
exists.
lack thereof, and if we don't respect the game, if we don't have people that think others who are voting respect the game, there's always going to be asterisks that we want to throw around
Yeah.
people's names about who won, who didn't won. Are there's because there's always going to be debate on who you think should have won, but let's condense it and give some true standards behind who's going to get MVP. You know?
Yeah, because it creates greater discourse around the debate itself.
Yeah,
You know, if everybody is using the same point of reference, yeah, it creates great
yeah.
conversation, and nobody is saying that we need to have less great conversation.
No,